Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to our webinar from ISTA on the accreditation. The topic today is how to achieve ISTA accreditation, and this webinar is made especially for laboratories or sampling entities which are looking for their first accreditation of ISTA. We had a lot of discussions with a number of candidates in the past, and from these discussions we put together some questions, and we would like to bring more information to everybody so you're all on the same boat and on the same planet to have a guide for your first steps for accreditation. And this is even before you are going to participate in ISTA very actively, or you even participated in QA workshops or other ISTA workshops. This is a webinar for the basics, and after we finished, you are able to ask some questions in the question and answer box. Please note that this webinar is recorded and will also be put on YouTube channel of Vista later. So if you need to have another ear on what we are talking about here, you are free to go to the Ester YouTube channel and have another look at the broadcast. I also welcome very much Florina Palada as Head of Accreditation and Technical Department of Vista. Hello, Florina.
Hello, everybody.
You might want to introduce yourself first.
Yes, I'm Florina Palada. I'm the Head of the Accreditation and Technical Department at ISTA, and I work with ISTA since 2012. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to share with all you, all participants, my experience collected during some years. We identified the need to organize this workshop because we have seen there are questions and there are things to be clarified for beginners when the process for accreditation is to be started. And I hope it will be a benefit for all of you. For you as participants to learn about the first steps in accreditation, and for us as well, providing you information.
Florina, we are talking about a number of laboratories who are looking for accreditation. How many are these over the year, just as a rough estimate?
Over the year, the number is not very fixed. I can say as an average, we have about 15 candidates or interested organizations to be accredited. In some years we had 25, about 25, in some years about 10, but as an average, I will go for 15. And this year we have already 12 organizations interested to obtain this accreditation.
And we hope that this broadcast is helpful for them to get into the process. How do you start the ISTA accreditation process?
As a first requirement is to become an ISTA accredited laboratory is to be an ISTA member. This is the first condition. You cannot start the accreditation without being an ISTA member. And the complete information about the membership can be provided by our colleague Olga Stöckli. She is the ISTA event membership and documentation manager. There are some conditions. The details will come from our colleague, but you have to know that it is an annual membership fee for a non-accredited member. I don't want to say laboratory because you will see later on there are two categories to be accredited, and this is a fee, and membership will become effective after the receipt of payment.
So you need to be an ISTA member if you want to be accredited,
Yeah.
but can you start the process before becoming an ISTA member?
Before becoming an ISTA member, you can start. You can see where your organization is located, your laboratory is located with the competence. You can start participating in the proficiency test with a fee. But I will say is not the best way to start to start the preparation for accreditation. Because as a second requirement, after you will become an ISTA member, it will be the invitation to participate in the ISTA proficiency test organized by us. And is not sufficiently to participate. We will go into details a little bit later, but is not sufficient to participate. It's also a requirement to obtain good results, meaning A or B rating. And going one step more, as a just to give to the participants an overview, is not sufficiently to have to take part of the proficiency test, but you have to think also to organize and to implement a quality management system in your organization, in your laboratory. Not only in papers, but also in your routine. And the details will come a little bit later. So there will be 3 important steps to be a member, to participate in the ISTA proficiency test, and in parallel to start to build your quality management system.
There's another thing, I believe, which you need to clear in your organization and in your area as well. That is, ISTA has a number of crop groups where you can get accreditation for, and a number of tests. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I will like to add one more information about the first step, that the ISTA accreditation may be granted for sampling entities only. So for the moment, we have one single sampling entity. Can be granted for testing only, and we have in total 12 accredited laboratories for testing, and the big majority, we have 133 accredited laboratories for sampling and testing. So in total now 146. Yeah, speaking about the accreditation scope, we have to take into consideration 2 important aspects: which crop groups I will like to have in my accreditation scopes, but also which tests. And if I know what I want, then it will come, the process will start. What is important to say now is that the candidates for accreditation are not always very familiar with the ISTA crop groups. And I will like to mention all of them. There are 8 crop groups. It's about grasses, cereals, small legumes, pulses, other agricultural species, vegetables, spices, herbs, and medicinal species, but these are in one single group. In general, we call them vegetables. The 7th group, it's about forest species, and the last one, flower species. And for details, I invite the participants, the interested participants, to go to the ISTA website under Resources Accreditation area, and they will find the details for the mentioned crop groups. As a general information, I will say that the tests that can be performed, and of course at the end the results can be reported on the ISTA certificates, are listed in the ISTA rules, but this is as a general information. We have 17 chapters. We have where the methods are described, and in total we have 19 chapters in the ISTA rules, one speaking about sampling, and another one chapter 1 speaking about the way to complete an ISTA certificate. But this is a very general information. I will say, when you as an interested or a candidate for accreditation, you cannot put in your accreditation scope all what is there, what generally speaking will be possible, in theory can be possible. The accreditation scope is a combination between the crop groups and the tests listed under the scope of accreditation, and also for you at the end will be posted on the website. But the tests to be performed are to be supported by the results of the proficiency tests. It's why I would like also to say that in the accreditation standard, we have a request that the laboratory must list in the quality documentation also the species and the analysis for which the laboratory claims competence. So we speak about competence in performing the tests, the wishes test. I will also say that it's very important to mention here that a new candidate must take care to use the valid ISTA rules when they decide what they want to add in the scope, to look to the valid version of the ISTA accreditation standard. And I will advise that they have to start with a small scope. And this is important, and we have seen from our experience that at the beginning, even they will wish to have a large scope. They understand the needs, that it's much more better and easier to enter in the process with a small scope. What they have to read carefully is the crop groups to see which species they are interested to have in the scope, and to connect the species with the crop groups, because the accreditation is granted for the crop groups and not for individual species. And going back to the proficiency test, they will be mandatory participants in the accreditation, in the proficiency test for the crop groups they have in the scope and not for individual species.
That means on one side, if I'm interested in rice, I might have to do a proficiency test in corn as well, because it's in the same crop group.
Yes, you are right. So you have to perform any proficiency test in included in for the species included under cereals. Yeah.
If I look into tests, can I go just only for an accreditation on germination?
Yeah, it's a good question asking about these aspects. What is also important to mention for the participants, that we have a directive posted also on the ISTA website, available for everybody. It's the ISTA Accreditation Scope of Accreditation, ACCD 07. You will find on the website the version number 2.1. And there are details how the application for accreditation must be. So I will give you some examples. You asked me if you can be accredited for germination only. We have to take into consideration also the related tests. For example, for germination, you take the pure seeds from the fraction obtained at the purity test. So then you have to have the accreditation for purity, and not only for purity, you have to have accreditation also for other seed determination, because from the same fraction, you have to be able, you have to be competent to identify what is pure seeds for the tested species and also the other seeds. So if you want germination, then you have to include at least 3 tests in the application. I can give you also another example about sampling, just to have something from testing and something from tasting. If you will be interested to obtain sampling accreditation for automatic sampling only, this will not be possible. Based on the policy we have, you have to be accredited for manual sampling as well. And there are reasons behind of this decision. There are also some exceptions for viability tests. and also for the GMO testing. Who is interested for more details, we can provide by email, but also can have a look to the ISTA policy posted on the website.
Florina, you mentioned the proficiency test and that it is important. Can you explain us a little bit deeper why it is important?
Yes, the proficiency tests are very important because based on the results the candidates, the participants will obtain for the proficiency test, they will be able to demonstrate their competence for what they are interested to add in the scope. And to demonstrate the competence, it's a precondition for a laboratory to start the accreditation process. I mentioned a little bit earlier at the beginning, I mentioned that they have to obtain good results. Good results means as rating A or B. In this case, A or B, it's a good competence, but if they will obtain C or BMP, that means there are aspects where they have to work more and they have to implement corrective actions and they have to find the root cause to be able to improve the competence. What is important, if I can add, what is important before to be accredited, the participation in the proficiency test is voluntary. It will become obligatory after you are accredited for the species and crop groups for the tests you are accredited.
Okay, good. If I want to add other crop groups to my scope later on, can I do that? Is it easy?
Easy or not easy, I think it's something somehow connected with the competence of the laboratory. And not only, but this is possible. Is why I said at the beginning that I will recommend to the beginners, to the candidates to be accredited to start with a small scope, because it is possible based on our policy to extend the scope in the period between two ISTA audits. And the ISTA audits are a 3-year cycle. To add in the scope something new, you have to demonstrate your competence. Going back to the proficiency tests and going back also in some cases when the proficiency tests are not organized for the species, for the crop groups you want to add or for the tests you want to add in the scope, then there are some other possibilities, participation in the mini proficiency tests and also in comparative tests. I think it's important also to add the extension of the scope for sampling. Because sampling, you cannot demonstrate your competence doing proficiency tests. So an extension of the scope for sampling is with on-site assessment. For the extensions of the scope for tests and crop groups, in most of the cases, it will be the evaluation of the documentation submitted by the laboratory and also the results of the proficiency tests. There are cases when if the extension is a large one, could be decided to be an on-site assessment, but in most of the cases, no.
If you are willing to participate in proficiency tests, do you have to be an ISTA member or can any laboratory around the world participate in the proficiency test without being an ISTA member?
You can participate in the proficiency tests without being an ISTA member, but you have to pay a good amount for each round. And I will say it will be more beneficial to be an ISTA member to use all benefits provided by this status, because the proficiency tests are included in the services or in the benefits for the members. And to be sure if your laboratory is competent or not, I think one single round is not enough. So it is possible, but in my opinion, not the best solution.
We talked about the quality management systems. How do you build and install and maintain a quality management system in your lab?
A quality management system, at least for at the beginning, could be a complex process. And when you decide to put in place a quality management system, you have to be prepared, and the preparation must start in several ways, let's say. But as a flow, I will say that you have to think, when you put in place the quality management system, to be appropriate for the size and work range that you plan to have described there. It's very important to define the organization and the management structure. You have to include your entity, your laboratory in the organization and the parent organization. So you have to take into consideration that all elements of the ISTA accreditation standard must be addressed in your quality management system. Then another step, suitable documents, suitable procedures for the system part, but also for the technical part. And I will invite as well for details the participants to look on the ISTA website and to look to the procedure ACCP08, how to develop quality documentation. So there are the big steps, but to build your own quality management system, you have to pay attention to a lot of details on what is happening in your organization. So your quality management system must be tailored according to your needs. Of course, taking into consideration all requirements, but according to your needs. And I always I like to say, it's not enough that you have the quality management system in the papers. It's very important to have it slowly incorporated in the routine, incorporated in the mentality of your people, and that they will see the benefit to have the quality management system and not a must because we want to be accredited. This is the best or the finality of our quality management system.
I've got a question which is seems to be important for some of our participants here. A question that, does all of the documentation need to be in English?
When we start the process, because for ISTA English, it's the language we use, the documentation provided, yes, must be in English, translated for the auditors. But in the daily work, they have to have the language of the country. Otherwise, how you will be sure that what is written there is understandable and it is also applied by the laboratory staff?
That means my quality management system itself and my standard operation procedures and my forms and all other things I use for documentation in my laboratory is sufficient if I have that in my local language, right?
It's sufficient in the laboratory, but for the auditors, when the audit process is started, it must be in English because we have to evaluate.
So it can be translated by someone from the laboratory or from outside the laboratory and be handed over to ISTA for checking.
It is an internal decision who will translate. We are not looking for a very accurate translation. We know that sometimes it's quite expensive to have a professional translation, but always when we have doubts, when we look to the quality documentation, the English version, and we are not sure if this is really in the practice, when we perform the evaluation, we ask and we check the conformity. We compare the text.
I think there are a few things which are important to be built in and implemented in a quality management system. If you're going for an ISTA accreditation, what are these important parts which I have to look at, which I have to observe?
As auditor or as auditee?
As auditee, of course.
As auditee. Sometimes it's not easy to make the difference because we are also auditors and we have been audited in time. So as auditee, I think I have to say that all requirements from the ISTA accreditation standard are important. You cannot judge this is important, this I have to take it, I have to describe it, this is not so important, so I can leave it. Of course, it's difficult at the beginning, but I will recommend that a new candidate for accreditation will read carefully the accreditation standard. And this is free available on the ISTA website as well. And then take the requirements and translate in your daily work. Translate doesn't mean obligatory from English to another language. Translate the requirements in what can be done in your laboratory, because there are different ways. After you translate in your daily work, then you I suppose most of the time the responsibility to start this task to obtain accreditation is of the quality manager, the responsibility of the quality manager. The quality manager cannot work alone. So the tasks must be distributed according to the responsibilities, and not everybody is skilled or can do any activity in a lab. So I will recommend to split, to share the responsibility. And also what I will like to highlight is that there is about a teamwork. It's not the quality manager, it's a teamwork. And at the end, as I say, the quality management system must be tailored. If it's not tailored, if it's poor in information, in all information that we need, if it's poor in information, then it's not sufficient to help the staff to perform his tasks. If it's too detailed with non-necessary details, then it will be difficult to be followed, and also to keep in mind non-necessary aspects. What I will recommend to the candidates for accreditation is to participate in our ISTA workshops. I suppose part of the participants, at least, they know that we had in February, we had a quality assurance workshop for beginners online, our first online workshop. It was a trial, but because we saw that we can do it with good results, we will have in April the first quality assurance workshop for beginners. And I was happy to see when we received the feedback, to receive this answer that we receive information more than expected. So we can provide a lot of information. This is important, we can provide information, but I would like also to mention that we, the accreditation department, we are not allowed to provide consultancy. And there are two different aspects, but everybody is welcome to receive additional information in our workshops.
I think beside the accreditation standard, another important document would be the ISTA rules for the candidates, right?
Yes, you are right. And it's very important. You have to know that your quality management system is built and implemented based on the ISTA rules and the accreditation requirement, accreditation standard requirements. You have the requirements, but what we have under the accreditation standard at point 1.2, the current version of the ISTA rules, it's an integral part of the standard, because the rules define the methods which must be used for the issuance of ISTA certificates. They are together. I cannot say that one is more important than the other one. The two strong or very important documents to obtain the ISTA accreditation are both of them.
And these ISTA rules are prepared newly or edited newly every year. If you are an ISTA member, I know you get these ISTA rules for free every December, for which are valid from January the next year. You can buy them as well as a single copy, I know that, but if you are a member, a personal member or a laboratory member, you get this as a membership benefit for free. I will probably, because we have a question here on how much the membership costs are, I will give you a little overview a little later about the benefits and the cost related to that, so that you can judge yourself as a possible candidate for accreditation. What is the best way for you to go forward? If we talk about a process of accreditation, it sounds to me often that it is a very long time you have to go for. You have to do the proficiency test in the correct way. You have your documentation ready in a correct way. You have it lived in your laboratory in a way which takes also some time. You have to be a member. You have to be aware what you want to achieve, which crop groups, which tests, and so on. How long does it actually take to achieve the accreditation of ISTA?
The process is very important, and every step I mentioned, and you mentioned as well, it's very important because we know that at the end of the process, you as newly accredited laboratories, you will be allowed to issue ISTA certificates. And then ISTA, and using the ISTA auditors, must be sure that your results are reliable. So the process will start with, as we discussed at the beginning, if you are a member and you have good results for the proficiency test, you can apply for accreditation. The application is easy to be obtained. If I'm contacted, I can provide this application for accreditation. This is an easy step, let's say, to start. But the process, at least I will split the process in 3 big steps, I will say. The process before the audit, before the on-site evaluation. It will be the on-site evaluation, and it will be the process after the evaluation when the possible identified non-conformities must be addressed. When we speak about the first step or the first important part, pre-audit part, there are a lot of things to be organized. So we have to see if the application is suitable or correspond with the wishes are supported by the competence. If not, then we start and we discuss with the laboratory, and then we adjust the scope. There are cases when we go and the scope to a reduced scope, a smaller scope. After we decided the scope, then we have to receive in English the quality documentation. When I say quality documentation, we speak about the quality manual, the procedures. Most of us, we use SOP, we say SOP, so the procedures reflecting the system and the technical aspects, the forms, any other document considered useful by the laboratory to be included in the quality management system. It will be the evaluation. Sometimes there are some other discussions, and we ask to some amendments to the quality documentation. And only when we see that the process is sufficiently developed, we start to discuss the audit date. So I will say sometimes it's about 6 months, this first step. Then it is, we have the audit. The audit could be 1 day, 1 day and a half. This is connected with the scope, the accreditation scope. most of the cases when we have a GMO in the scope will be a day and a half, or we have a large scope, or we have seed health, good number of seed health methods. So then we go for a day and a half. There are rare cases when at the beginning we have 1 day and a half, but could be. Usually it's a day. We have at least two auditors, a system auditor and a technical auditor. When it's about GMO or seed health, we can have, in addition, a seed health or a GMO expert. But this is a short step, the evaluation, the on-site assessment. After the on-site assessment, if there were identified non-conformities, the laboratory will receive again 6 months, not more than 6 months from the audit date, will receive this time to address the non-conformities. To address the non-conformities, meaning in fact to address at least the substantial non-conformities. And when we have the evaluation, could be more than one round, corrective action number 1 or 2, until we see that the laboratory addressed the non-conformities. And here we are almost at the end of the process. Could be about 6 months in total, not more than 6 months. And at the end of the process, the auditors will conclude if they can recommend or not the accreditation. And I think this is the most important step, because the work of everybody is going to a positive direction. When we speak about newly accredited laboratories, we are happy also to recommend the ISTA accreditation to the executive committee and to you as a Secretary General. And this is a short process. If we recommend the accreditation, then in few days, this is approved. As I say, this is a very nice step for everybody. It's a kind of celebration of our common efforts, and we are happy to congratulate the lab.
You talked about accreditation and re-accreditation, so the process is going to be repeated then every 3 years with the same thing, where in between you have to take part in the proficiency tests for your scope of accreditation and your crop groups. When I'm actually allowed to issue ISTA orange or blue international certificates?
You are allowed to issue ISTA certificates after your accreditation is approved. The accreditation is approved. Not only this, then we will post on the ISTA website the accreditation scope. You have also to order ISTA certificates to be able to report the results, but also you have to pay one additional amount as accredited laboratories. So it will be 1,224 Swiss francs also paid as for the services we provide to the ISTA accredited laboratories. So when we put together accreditation, it's approved, the additional fee is paid, you have already the ISTA certificates, you can start to issue orange certificates.
It is a very complex process, and I think you need a lot of staff for that. How many auditors does ISTA have in the moment?
It's true, it is a complex process, and the accreditation, the scope of the accredited laboratories is not the same. So it's why we need a good number of auditors, and we need auditors with competence in different fields of testing and sampling as well. Now we have two categories. We have the ISTA auditors at ISTA Secretariat, and we have contracted auditors. At ISTA Secretariat, we are 3 in total. We have a new colleague started, she just started in March. Myself, I can perform technical and system audits, and also our colleague Branka as a system auditor. And we have contracted auditors. In total, I work with 22 contracted auditors. But here as well, we have different categories. We have 15 technical auditors, including one seed health expert and one GMO expert. We have also 4 system auditors performing only system audits, and we have 3 contracted auditors competent to perform system and technical audits. So in total, as a number, we are 25. And I'm happy to say that we have also in process to train and to approve another number, some technical auditors, system auditor, and also a seed health, a GMO expert.
And I understand that ISTA has auditors nearly all around the world, North America, South America, in Asia, Pacific, in Africa. We have one auditor as far as I know, and a lot of auditors are located in Europe.
Yes, you are right.
Here was a question coming in: who's carrying out the audits? Is this directly ISTA staff members? I think you explained that very well. It is 3 members of staff, which could either go or not, or contracted auditors, mainly contracted auditors from national laboratories, or people who retired from national laboratories and are now able to act as an ISTA auditor.
Yes, and I think it's also the place to mention that we have a great support by our colleague Nilam, who is the audits administrator, and she's taking care to keep always, she's in communication with the auditors, with the laboratories, not always what we propose as the audit time, it's the best date. So she's always supporting us to have a smooth flow for our audits. Yeah.
Here's a question which is very interesting. I think I already have a QMS-based system on ISO 17025. Must I develop a new documentation for ISTA, or may I incorporate ISTA methods as part of my actual scope?
Usually, quality management system based on 17025 is a good quality management system if you respect the requirements. If it is, I don't know exactly if who put the question, it's already accredited ISO 17025, or only the quality documentation is built based on this. But in general, very rare I have seen laboratories working in parallel with 2 systems. Very rare. And so there could be difficult. Also could create some confusion for the staff. In most of the cases, the additional requirements of the ISTA accreditation standard are incorporated in the documentation built based on 17025. But what is important is to be able to make the difference. And it's important to know when a requirement is applicable for this accreditation, when it's applicable for the other one. And here could be a difficulty at the beginning. But I will recommend one single system.
Yeah. Okay, then here's another question coming in, and I'm very happy that you are so active asking questions. The difference between an ISTA orange and it mentioned here yellow, but I think it should be blue certificate. An ISTA orange and an ISTA blue. We don't have yellow ones.
Yellow could be only a copy of orange. But yeah, we have 2 categories. We have orange ISTA certificates and blue certificates. When we speak about orange ISTA certificates, we speak about sampling and testing done by accredited laboratories, and the quality, the results reported on the orange certificates will reflect the quality of a lot. When we speak about blue certificates, we speak about results reflecting the quality of a sample. So the traceability between the lot, if the seed comes from a lot, and the result is not there when it's a blue certificate. But I will say the objectives of the most important objective of an accredited laboratory is to be able to issue orange certificates.
Another question on 17025. Is it good for ISTA also to take care of sampling to allow to issue orange international certificates? Yes. You need there is a difference between 17025 and the ISTA accreditation. ISTA accreditation to issue orange certificates always includes sampling, which is not a procedure which is included in 17025.
Yeah, it's true. In the standard, we have chapter accreditation standard. We have chapter number 6 called lot identification, sampling, and handling of samples. So very accurate steps taking care of the sampling aspects. And of course, we have one chapter in the ISTA rules, chapter number 2.
To have a laboratory accredited in germination test, must all samples received by the laboratory be sampled by samplers accredited by ISTA?
So then we have to split somehow the question in more aspects. To be accredited for germination only, as we discussed at the beginning, this will not be possible. You have to have purity, and at least purity and other seed determination in the scope. And of course, if you want to issue orange certificate, you have to have also at least manual sampling in the scope. Only when the full process is traceable from sampling till the issuance of ISTA certificates, we can use the certificates. I don't know if I capture all aspects that the person who asked is interested. But if there are more details to be discussed, I can receive an email and I can give more details.
My understanding is also that if you are not looking for an ISTA orange certificate, the sample, of course, also in an ISTA accredited laboratory does not need to be sampled by an ISTA accredited sampler.
If you are looking to have a blue ISTA certificate,
or no certificate. It only has to be sampled by a sampler who is ISTA accredited if it is used later on for an orange to be issued afterwards.
Yeah, and to demonstrate the quality of a lot.
Yeah. Here's another one, Directorate of Seed Testing and Certification, Iraq member in ISTA with national accreditation by national organizations for standardization and quality control. I did not get that as a real question. That is probably not that complete as a question. Hello, our lab tries to get accreditation this year. Therefore, we send quality documentation and waiting for feedback. What I want to ask is if we pass the document check probably, when will the audit start? In addition, how many labs left which are waiting for audit in this year?
In this year, I have at least 4 laboratories looking for new candidates for accreditation. They are very close to start the accreditation process. Of course, it's confidential, and I cannot give details about the countries or the laboratory code. It's true, I have under evaluation documentation received maybe not more than 7-8 days ago, with some amendments to be done. And after this, probably in the next few days, the answer will go back to the lab. I don't know if the question came exactly from the laboratory who is now under evaluation. I'm reading the quality documentation.
Yes,
And
probably,
soon,
yes.
very soon, in few days, they will have the answer. And if the amendments, the requested amendments will be already in the documentation, we will start to discuss the next step when the audit will be performed.
I think this is the next question is the real question of the colleagues from Iraq. We got a score and proficiency test for purity tests and other seed determination tests. What is the next step to get ISTA accreditation?
Depending what they have to have in the scope. So it's mentioned purity and other seed determination. I don't know for which crop groups, so I don't know if all they wish are now supported by the results, but assuming that the proficiency tests already demonstrate that the laboratory is competent, the next step is to receive from my side, to be contacted and to receive from my side the application for accreditation and to start to receive the quality documentation and, of course, the evaluation of the documentation.
Here's another one going into the area of proficiency testing. What are the quality factors for which proficiency is evaluated?
Details you can find on the ISTA website under resources. There are procedures, how the proficiency tests are organized, how the proficiency tests are rated, and also the results evaluated. So it is a quite complex procedure. But if you are interested in a very specific area or aspects of this, send us an email, and then we will involve my colleague Branka and also the chair of the Proficiency Test Committee, and you will have a detailed answer.
Can I get accreditation using outsourced laboratory for sampling, ensuring that they follow the entire ISTA process? And I would like to add, and are ISTA accredited, and the lab staff for seed analysis.
Can you read it a little bit?
I would say the question is very easy. Can I just get an accreditation for the lab part and sampling to be done by another facility who is ISTA accredited?
So you can be accredited for testing only, but then to be able to issue orange certificates, the sampling, it's obligatory to be done by an accredited laboratory. And what is important also to take into consideration, if you are accredited for few, I don't know, for example, if you are accredited for cereals, crop groups, and you are able to test cereals, then the laboratory responsible for sampling must have accreditation for cereals as well. You cannot issue a certificate if not all of them involved in sampling and testing have accreditation.
Yeah, good. Before I forget, I had a question in the beginning, which was coming in by a colleague from French-speaking area, and we got a translation for that here. He or she is trying to find out how to statistically evaluate the results obtained in a germination test, varietal and specific purity and moisture test. I think that is also something which you can find on the ISTA website in the statistical area.
And also discussing with the chairs with the technical committees. Yeah.
Yes, that's another point which we probably need to mention here. If you have statistical questions or other questions, please go to the ISTA website. You may check directly with the relevant committee, and they will be able to answer your questions or direct you into the right direction. So you can also, as a candidate or an accredited laboratory, go directly to the chairs of the technical committees. All details you can find on the ISTA website. And also another question, other seat determination is very challenging. Yes, that is true. Please suggest how to go about. And I think that is going more into a direction of workshops to be visited and maybe other training tools which are available.
Workshop seat collection, a good seat collection, participation in the proficiency test. Nobody will evaluate you for the proficiency test as good or not. You have a rating for the evaluation of the other seats, and you can learn. So if you as an ISTA member will be part of the proficiency test voluntary participation, you will learn the other seats. And also what it's important, it's that you can add the seats from the proficiency test in your seat collection. So it is also a learning tool, the participation.
I got another question. Can you recommend a laboratory with ISTA accreditation to go for 17025 ISO, since this could lead to confusion? It's hard to say if we can recommend it, but there are some national requirements in a few cases where you have to have 17025 for your laboratory on a national basis, I think.
When I'm going in the lab, when we, the auditors, are going in the lab, we evaluate and we take care to keep the ISTA accreditation standard requirements under our evaluation. I don't have an answer here.
That is, quality is only one round. So quality in only one round is sufficient to apply for ISTA accreditation. I think that goes to proficiency tests.
Yeah, it's going to the proficiency test. To be able to start the accreditation process, you have to have at least for one round, for one crop group, one round with good results. So it's about a crop group. For example, if you have good results for allium, you are allowed to go for accreditation for vegetables.
What is the method followed to calculate the score of proficiency tests?
The same answer. The details are posted on the ISTA website in the procedure for a proficiency test, and it is since about 2 weeks revision done. So you will find the last version on the ISTA website.
Can you provide a seed testing for seed purity, germination, moisture, and seed health training? That comes from Ethiopia, and I refer back to one of your answers here, that we can do training inside workshops when they are organized in your area or your country, but we cannot do consulting work. So the answer here is, if it is going to consulting, then we cannot do it. As you are in Ethiopia, you might have also contact with the world, with FAO, and FAO and ISTA are partly working together in these areas, and we can find a way together to assist you here.
the single way we can provide samples is participation on the ISTA proficiency tests. And we can say that the proficiency tests are provided for seed health as well, for GMO, and also for the standard tests.
Usually weed seed identification is a challenge, especially if the weed seed sent for proficiency test is not present in the country in which the lab is located. Is proficiency of the lab evaluated used seed identification also? And I would say the clear answer is here, yes. And even if the weed seed is not in your country, you might to avoid that it enters your country. So ISTA accreditation is also not only from the sending country, but also from the receiving country, an important tool to ship and trade seeds. So also the receiving country must be able to identify weed seeds which they don't want to have imported with a seed lot into their country. Sorry if I sometimes answer now the questions. Of course, I learned during your webinar.
You know what is the? I was listening and I was thinking that I worked about 12 years in the purity laboratory when I been responsible for seed testing. I worked about 12 years in the purity and other seed identification laboratory, and I will say even at the beginning, maybe first months, it was challenging. It's true, to identify the other seeds, but at the end it becomes my hobby. So I like very much to identify the other seeds, and I will advise the participants who still considering that it's a challenge, to start not only looking to the seeds to learn the seeds, also to read some descriptions, to look in the documentation. And we have on the ISTA website, we have a good number of seeds under the purity technical committee area. So you will see pictures, you will see dimensions, you will find a lot of seeds posted by the proficiency test responsible. Every single round after it's finished will be posted with the seeds identified. So then it's true, at the beginning it's not an easy work, but can be done.
Good. Next question is ISTA accreditation based on ISO 17025?
It's based on the ISTA accreditation standard. There are common elements, but as I mentioned, there are aspects only related to the ISTA aspects, the sampling, the issuance of ISTA certificates. So there are some similarities, but it's not the same.
We would like to make a switch from 17025 to ISTA accreditation. Do you have examples of labs that have done this in the past and it did not, did it go well? What were the obstacles?
I don't have examples, because when we read, when we evaluate the documentation prepared for an ISTA accreditation. If they use at the beginning a base from 17025, this, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Is there a minimum time for for the ISTA management system must be run before applying for accreditation?
We don't have a minimum time. What we ask before to start the accreditation process is to receive evidence that one internal audit, at least one internal audit, and a management review was already performed. When you have a system and you are able to evaluate your system, and also to see, based on the management review results, and also based on the internal audit results, you see where are your points for improvement or for changes. So then the system is already running.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how long does it take to get accreditation? We have already gone for more than 5 PTs, but did not start the accreditation process yet.
Could be some other reasons. So then I prefer to be contacted by email, because I don't know, could be the proficiency test, but could be also some other reasons. This I have to see the details.
If these proficiency tests are good, the laboratory could go and move into the accreditation process, I understand. I can combine it with another question which is coming up. We have received C or BMP in the PT rounds. Can we apply for accreditation with such score? The answer would be no.
Yeah,
At least
the
not
answer
with a
is no.
BMP. If you have an A or B score in your rounds, and if there are 5 with A and B, you can go into the accreditation process, and that send the information and the application to Florina.
The results must be judged, because I will just take an example. For example, you have A and B for purity, other C determination and germination, and you have BMP for moisture. Of course, if you take out the moisture, which is not related to the others, you can apply for the test where you are good. But if you have A and B for germination and you don't have for purity, no. So every result, every case must be studied individually. And I'm happy to receive any kind of email to discuss the details.
How is the presence of insects, eggs, larvae, pupae, and adults, live or dead, analyzed and reported?
Analyze and report it is based on the seed health methods. To report on the ISTA certificate, you have to have seed health accreditation for seed health. But in some cases, you just observe them, and if are dead, if are in the purity sample, I see we are going now in a very technical aspects, you know, and where maybe it will be good to have an answer of a technical auditor. But generally speaking, if you observe this in the samples, you have to mention and you have to take some actions. If are dead only, depending if are in the purity tests or in the other seed. So it's a technical aspect, and I will be happy also to discuss with the technical auditors.
The Directorate of Seed Testing and Certification in Iraq is a member of ISTA. Can we issue orange and blue certificates or not, and why? You can only issue orange or blue certificates if you are accredited. That is, and you went through the accreditation process, otherwise that is not possible.
And even you are accredited, you can issue for the crop groups and tests you have accreditation. And also you can issue one, I will say a very important information for the participants is that you can issue ISTA certificate only for the species listed in the ISTA rules chapter 2, table 2C, not for each or any species under test.
Okay, next question. Is there a plan for organizing a sampling workshop in this year? I can answer that question. That depends on 2 factors. One is the current pandemic situation. In the moment, we are not doing in-person workshops. We have started in some areas with go to training workshops online. If the bulking and sampling committee is going to have such a workshop, is not clear in the moment. In the meantime, if you need information on this, we refer you also to our YouTube channel, where you can find a number of videos from the bulking and sampling committee, which you can use for internal training of your samplers in the meantime. the statement must be entered as follows. After the prescribed period of X days, there were so many percent abnormal findings. What clarification this statement about number of days, extended days of period must be entered. I think that is going into the direction of how to fill an ISTA Orange certificate. Here I would like to address that we have a tool which is an interactive certificate. Please try to use this tool. It will guide you how to issue and what you have to put in there, following the current ISTA rules of filling an Orange certificate. Please have a look there. If you have then questions, please come back with an email to us at the Secretariat, and we will try to answer your detailed question.
In addition, we have also the procedure. We have the interactive tool, how to complete any certificates. We have also the procedure, how to complete. And we have chapter number 1 of the ISTA rules for free, posted on the ISTA website. So there are three possibilities to find this information, but in addition also, if we receive an email, we can answer the details, or we can ask support from the Germination committee, because I see the question is going also to how to report the germination results.
Now that is a question. Next question is something I can answer myself as well. Can I issue the results of several samples on a single Orange certificate? First of all, you cannot issue from samples, only from batches, from lots which are sampled on an ISTA Orange certificate, because the Orange includes the sampling part, and it can only be one lot at a time. So one lot, one ISTA Orange certificate, and for the second, third, and fourth lot, you need another Orange International certificate to be filled. Another question, will an ISTA team inspect the lab before final approval for accreditation? Maybe you can answer that, Florina.
Always the accreditation is granted based on an evaluation. Before the specific conditions of this year, the visit was there, so it was with on-site assessment. Now, as a special condition, we have the audits completely remote or partially remote. We perform them like this. But our routine is to have this preparatory step, then to organize a visit in the lab. During the visit, it will be evaluated the quality management system, but will be evaluated also the competence in sampling and in testing for what you wish to have in the scope. So definitely, before granting the accreditation, it is an evaluation.
Mm-hmm. Good. Here's a question from colleagues from Bolivia. Is there a chance to be part of in an ISTA online workshop on quality? There is one beginning of April, but that was booked, I think, within 2 hours after we published it. We are working on the possibility of running more of these workshops during this year, also as an online version.
Yes, I discussed already with the trainer, the technical auditor, who is a trainer for the technical aspects. We are looking to find a window in our between audits to organize at least the second, and will be as soon as we find the place, will be announced.
Mm-hmm. Another question: what is the innovation technique in ISTA for identifying weed seeds that we could apply in purity lab in Iraq? You could quick answer on that, you could apply any innovative technique to do so if you pass an ISTA proficiency test with it. If your system is able to pass a proficiency test with it, then you can use it to identify weed seeds. Which system you should use, that is absolutely needs to be based on the purpose of your laboratory and what you need to identify. And that is another part. ISTA is not recommending any machine to you because it has to fit your purpose, and what fits a purpose in one country may not fit a purpose in another one. And it also has to be available in your country. Not all suppliers are available everywhere around the world.
What I can add here is that even the other seed identification is done by a machine or by a person, an analyst. You have to prove that this machine is trained meaning it's able to identify the seeds with the correct name. It's monitored, it's verified, maybe not the correct word to say calibration, but verified, and gives reliable results. It's not just because you use the machine, you will not follow the requirement of the standard when it's about competence.
Seed vigor test, is it included in proficiency test program? And if yes, what are the vigor tests covered in the proficiency test program?
It was a vigor test in 2000, the first proficiency test on Phaseolus. It was about conductivity. And then now the next one, the proficiency test on Zea mice, who was already today finished to be shipped, is with radical emergence. So there are two vigor tests included in the proficiency test.
Yeah. Thank you. Another interesting question: does the pandemic situation will affect the accredited laboratories audit schedule?
We, as I already started to say, I said just few words about this. We now work based on decision and agreement with the executive committee, ISTA Executive Committee. We work together with the accreditation working group. And every audit is judged by one. Where we cannot go, where we cannot travel, we organize remote audits or partially remote audits. And the process is, I'm happy with the way the auditing process is now working.
We have to say that at the beginning of the pandemic, or even before, there were discussions also among the members of the executive committee and the secretariat, and we decided there to first prolong all accreditation for laboratories who had to be accredited in 2020 for 1 year. And during the pandemic time, we went into a situation where we went to have remote audits, which are fulfilling the purpose, but we would like to go back again to in-person audits, because it is more helpful also for the laboratory to have auditors on site. You can discuss much deeper problematic situations than it can be done online. And another point is we sometimes face a time difference of up to 12 hours, which is not good for the auditors and not good for the audited laboratory, because that situation is very tiring for all of the people. So we are working on a process to go back, but that is when the pandemic situation allows us to go back. Now, it was, by the way, it was 22 laboratories which we could not audit last year and which are now probably in the first half of the year, all audited and together with the other laboratories which were in the 2021 process are done as well. That's a great achievement from the auditors, and I personally thank the auditors for that great achievement, because it took quite a long time.
Yes, to give a picture, so for this year we have in total 70 audits to be performed. 22, as you said, are moved from the last year, and from the 22 in the first 3 months we already performed 9, and the auditors are very supportive. This is true.
Is there an exclusive directory of accredited labs country-wise with dates of accreditation? You can find all accredited labs on the ISTA website. You may be informed that we are working on a new website which can ease the retrieval of an accredited lab in your area much easier than it is possible in the moment. So wait half a year, then we will have a new website ready, which is able to give you much more information, and you can search by country, by scope, or by crop group for a laboratory in your vicinity. Our labs want to have PT test for genetic purity, as though molecular markers.
Yes, it's about the DNA proficiency tests. It will be the first one organized as a trial quite soon. We invited a small number of the laboratories already accredited for these tests, and based on the experience we will achieve after the performance of this trial, it will be incorporated in the routine, in the proficiency test plan. But we already have this in our attention.
It's a little bit more difficult to see to send these material out than the normal shipments of our standard proficiency tests, because some or a lot of countries have different requirements for these type of samples to be shipped out. But that is nearly solved, and that's why we are going to the beta testing of such a proficiency test now. Seed identifications, will an online workshop be possible? That's a good question. All technical committees are working in the moment on evaluating if online workshops are possible in their area. A few gave positive signals back to us, and we will see that if you follow us as a on our social media channels or the ISTA newsletter, you will find out quickly when these are coming up. As an ISTA member laboratory, may I use the ISTA logo in seed analysis report without being accredited? The clear answer here is no.
And it is a procedure posted on the ISTA website, in which conditions or where you can use the logo. Yeah.
Yes, there's a procedure on using the ISTA logo in your materials, and you are kindly asked to follow that. If you are looking for exemptions, you would have to come to the Secretary General, and he would evaluate together with the Executive Committee how to deal with it. Are we planning remote audits for new applicants? In the moment, the answer is yes, if the documentation and all things are correct. And we hope that that goes well. Is there an exclusion in ISTA accreditation process due to the pandemic? We answered that question with the question before as well. There's no exclusion. Any plan for celebrating ISTA's 100 years in 2024? The clear answer is yes, we are planning to do something in 2024, but we will not tell you yet. Follow us on our our social media channels and the newsletter. We fixed also a location for 2024, but that will not be announced before the Congress next year. ISTA newsletter are not received by our lab. We are a member lab. Yes, you have to register for the ISTA newsletter. And that is important. Go to the ISTA website, register for the newsletter, and you will receive the newsletter. If you're not getting it, then please check your inbox and your how does it say, spam filter or spam messages if it is there. You are not receiving automatically as a member the ISTA newsletter. That is due to the special situation having to do with your personal rights following European legislation. We cannot send out without your approval a newsletter to you. You have to order it actively, and that is a requirement. Go to the ISTA website, ctest.org, and subscribe, and you will receive it. We are aiming for manual sampling and moisture accreditation. Can we have online accreditation? It is not an online accreditation, it's a remote audit in that case, but the answer would be also yes in that case.
If the other conditions are,
yes,
are achieved, or covered.
We had a number of questions in between, which were regarding the cost, and I would like to come back to that in one answer. Maybe I can tell you what a laboratory member has got as a benefit. It can participate in all proficiency tests. That is the standard proficiency test with 3 rounds a year, and the CTELs, GMO and future DNA proficiency tests as well for free. That it is a membership benefit. Accredited laboratories must take part in the proficiency test program for their scope of accreditation. You will receive a free online version of the International Rules of Seed Testing every year when it comes out new. And you will receive that as a multi-user access. So if you have more than one computer in your organization which is connected to a network, you can have all computers filled and established with the current ISTA rules for seed testing. You can purchase any publication at a reduced rate. You have a free personal member, and you will receive all newly published ISTA handbooks for free upon their release. And what is another big membership benefit is all your staff get priority bookings and membership prices for all ISTA events. That is the ISTA annual meetings, the congresses, the symposia, and ISTA workshops. May it be online or may it be in person. And the membership fee for a laboratory in the moment is 5,214 Swiss francs. That is an annual fee. The accreditation fee, which you have to pay if you are an accredited lab, and also if you are in the accreditation process, and you pass the accreditation process, you have to pay this amount before you get the possibility to get a supply on orange and blue certificates, is 1,224 Swiss francs per year. And for the audit, you have to pay an annual fee, which only applies also to accredited laboratories, of 4,330 Swiss francs per year. That is including all the benefits and including all the costs for the auditors and for the audits taking place in your area, or remote as it is in the moment due to COVID. If you pay until the end of the year before your fees, you can get in the moment a 10% discount for early birds. Due to Iraq political situation, could we get online accreditation or not? That is depending on your situation a little bit, and we are kindly asked to come back to us in that respect. Good. I think I stop here now. We are coming to the end of our question round. We have our president in here in the panel list as well, and I think he wants to join for a short word and some greetings.
Hello, thank you, Andreas, and thank you, Florina. I just wanted to join in at the end of the webinar to thank you both for keeping all the new ISTA members or potential members informed of the accreditation process. I think we've had a lot of interest today. There's been around about 130 people join the webinar from all over the world. With lots of very good questions coming in and plenty of things for us to answer and make sure that people know where to find things on the ISTA website. The last question that's just come in there is about do we actually devitalize the weed seeds as part of the PT, and we do that. So that's part of the PT process to make sure that we don't send weed seeds around the world and create a problem. But other questions like this on technical aspects, I think very much send an email into Andreas or Florina or to the technical committee chairs, because as part of ISTA, we have a huge resources in those technical committees working to the greater benefit of ISTA and the seed testing community. So I thank you very much today, Florina and Andreas, for giving this webinar and giving that extra information to help new labs join and to help existing labs refresh themselves. So thank you very much for today's webinar. It was much appreciated by myself and others, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Florina, for your answers and for all the information we could pass today to our members and hopefully future members.
Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you to be here and to discuss about the accreditation process. I'm open to answer to any other question and the details you are interested and just please send us an email and we will clarify the aspects that were not covered here. Thank you very much to everybody.